beautiful people, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Rorisang Mabogoane, and if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. It's great to have you in my little corner of YouTube where we speak all things adulting, faith, lifestyle, career development, personal development, the works. Anything and everything that is relevant for us to navigate our young adult lives. Before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button. That red button better turn gray. Give this video a massive thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Comment down below what you enjoyed about today's video and what other videos you'd like to see. Share this with anybody and everybody who you think might need it, which is basically everyone. And without any further ado, let us get straight into today's video. So as you can tell, I'm not alone. We are continuing with our career series, and as I mentioned, I am bringing you guys such bright minds. I'm bringing you guys such incredible powerhouses who are so well versed in the things that they do, who are passionate about the things that they do. And I have someone here who, it's long overdue. We've been rescheduling for a while, but I have my sister here. Yes, you guys are gonna ask me how many sisters I have. I have a lot of sisters, right? So you would have seen a few days ago that I dropped the actuarial science video, and that was with Kele, and that is GAOPALELWE's older sister. So I'm going to give you a few seconds, minutes, moments to introduce yourself, and then we can get into today's video.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is KUNGWANE. Kilifilo's younger sister and her sister as well. I am a medical doctor. I qualified in 2022. I'm currently working at a public hospital, an academic hospital, and I studied at UP.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, like I said, bright minds. Nobody just gets into medicine, guys.
Yes.
Listen, also me, I remember one career day back in primary school, and they were like, come dressed in, and I went in a coat and I'm like, guys, I'm gonna be a doctor. Then I got to high school and maths was like, no, baby girl, you're not going to be a doctor. But nonetheless, we are going to be exploring the medical field today, and someone who is still very, fresh within her career, but who is also able to give us, the lens from an academic point of view as well as from an actual work experience point of view. So I'm super excited to have her on the channel, and thank you so much for honoring the invite.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be here. I hope to impart some knowledge and to everyone watching.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's get into it. The first question that I want to ask, basically, we know what a doctor is, right? Somebody who is a healthcare specialist who, basically we run to when we have a bit of a or whatever, But I know there's a lot of different types of doctors, specialists, and whatever out there. So do you mind just laying like that foundation for us about different types of doctors that you can find, and basically laying that land for us so that we can, basically see that there's more than just a GP,
Yes.
there's more than just a GP, because I think the second you think doctor, everybody just automatically just thinks it's, a GP. So do you mind laying that foundation for us?
No problem. So the doctor world, if I can say, is very, very vast, quite big, right? Because you can have a clinical doctor, you can have a non-clinical doctor, and what I mean by that is patient care. So some doctors are not directly involved in patient care, others are. Okay. So we have different specialties. Like your non-clinical side, you will have medical advisors, in life insurance, in your medical aids. We use doctors to sort of have those guidelines up for when you get a claim rejected on your medical aid.
You're like,
it's a doctor.
Oh, hectic.
Yes.
Now I know. Now I know.
Yes.
Now I'm touched.
But on the other side, you have your clinical doctors. So you have surgeons, you have physicians, right? You have different types of surgeons. You have cardiothoracic surgeons, general surgeons, physicians. You have a general physician, you have family physicians, you have GPs, they're also physicians, you have dermatologists, you have radiologists. Okay. So
it's quite, it's quite broad.
It's very broad. Okay. There are so many specialties. I could speak all day about the different specialties.
And where do you then find yourself within this broad landscape?
So since I'm still currently I'm so fresh out of varsity. We are actually doing an internship, so meaning that we rotate in all of these different
Oh,
specialties,
nice.
but the
Okay.
major ones, not all of them, because
Okay.
there's no time to
There's
do
no
all
time,
of them. So we rotate in the biggest ones like obstetrics and gynecology, like internal medicine, general surgery, orthopedics. We do family medicine as well.
Okay.
So yes.
So you're basically everywhere.
Everywhere, yes.
This is what we call a subject matter expert, right? Because she knows more than just one view. So that's incredible.
Yes,
That's
yes.
awesome. Okay. And if I'm just gonna bring in a bit of like family history, GAOPALELWE has always wanted to be a doctor, guys. Like I remember family gatherings, ne? And when we would speak as children, yeah, I wanna be this, and it never changed. From infancy, it's literally been you. So her passion is a genuine passion, because for as long as we've known each other, and we've known each other for the same amount of years, because we're the same age. So listen, as soon as we got out of the womb, she's been. So this passion is pure, this passion is real, and when she says she can speak about it forever,
I can.
She really does mean
the
it.
anointing found me, and I found
Right?
it, and
Right?
just went with it.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. So you mentioned that you're doing your internship. So I wanted to find out, is that internship the residency part of, because usually you do your 6-year degree, and then there's residency or something, and then how does that look?
So how the path of eventually qualifying as a doctor looks is, you do your 6 years undergrad, you do a degree, MBCHB in most varsities. Then after that, by HPCSA prerequisites, you need to do a 2-year internship, meaning that's where you get all your clinical, your hands-on experience. That's where you start becoming very independent. You start to grow. You learn to be independent working as a doctor. Because undergrad, you were always sort of supervised. You also always told, this is what you need to do. You were taught, you were taught theoretically, but now you have to sort of apply all of that, right? So HPCSA requires 2 years of internship. Then thereafter, you need to do like 1 year of community service. So that's where you will work in a public hospital in the country as a doctor for the people. You're serving, you're giving back to the country.
That's
basically
beautiful. Okay. So you are currently in that 2-year internship phase. Okay. That's cool. That's good.
I'm almost done.
Yeah. Is it?
Yes.
Is it? Okay, that's exciting. And then after that, you'll do then community service, and after that, then you can decide if you wanna do your own practice or work at a hospital or whatever. Okay.
Yes, and so residency comes after ComServe. Basically, if you want to specialize, that's when you become in South Africa we call it a registrar, like it's a registrarship, whereas I think in America they use residency.
Yeah.
Yes.
Guys, I watched The Good Doctor. That's where I got this terminology. So yeah. Okay. So in your internship, what are like the main aspects of your day-to-day job?
Okay. So since I am in an academic hospital, it's a very big hospital. So our day-to-day is usually, you get to work. It can be 7 a.m. usually, or after 7. You get to work, and there's a morning meeting. The morning meeting is generally just where they present the patients that we've seen yesterday. So like through the night, after work, after hours, they present all of those patients. We have discussions on those patients. What could have been done better? What are we going to do? Yes. So that's where our specialists, we call them consultants, they give their input as to, this is what we need to do for this patient. So this is, then usually there's also a short time for an academic presentation. Sometimes it can be a morbidity and mortality meeting, but sometimes it can be just a topic-based presentation, because it's a continual learning. There's always things changing. Sometimes it's journal club, where like we have a journal that we're discussing on the morning.
Nice. Okay.
Yes, so that's basically the morning part of it. So it can go an hour, depending on your specialty, can go an hour up to 2 hours as well. Then thereafter, you work in the wards. So you start at the ward, you see all the patients that are in your firm. We call them firms.
That's actually quite interesting. I didn't know that, though, that you guys use that type of terminology as well.
Yeah, we have a firm. So your firm is basically different patients which we classify having similar diseases, like get treated by basically the same team.
I see.
So yes, I'm currently in orthopedics. So in orthopedics, we'd be like, if you have upper limb, meaning that if you broke anything in your arms, then you're in one firm. If you broke anything in your legs, you're in one firm.
Okay.
So that's like, yes. Yes. So that's what we have. So you go to your firm, you see your patients. Then thereafter you do the work that needs to be done for that patient. If you need to book CT scans, if you need to book MRIs, if you need to do bloods, if you need to discharge, that's all we do it after the morning meeting. Then after that, basically, But the day-to-day can get hectic. Especially if there's a patient overload, especially in specialties like internal medicine, because the patients in internal medicine are very sick, you know, and so it usually has a large patient load. Sometimes you might find that you go over until 5 o'clock. You've been working from 7 a.m. to 5 o'clock.
I mean, that's normal for me, guys. You watch my vlogs, and I mean,
but
you know,
but you don't get lunch.
This is
in
true.
Between
okay,
that.
this is true.
So like,
and you're on your feet.
You're on your feet the whole day, running around a hospital with 10 floors.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sometimes what it looks like. But also there are places where it's like you have a normal day-to-day life.
Okay, that's interesting because my aunt is also a doctor, my aunt on my dad's side, and I remember when she was doing like her internship and ComServe and stuff, she would like come home at 10 in the evening. She would like, it would be, we were living in the same house, but I never saw her, you know.
It happened.
So yeah, I was about to ask then, how does that balance, you know, look like?
So the part that I spoke about now is just the normal basic day-to-day. We also have an overtime component of our work, which is basically you are on call. So you know when they say there's a doctor on call, so you are at the hospital for at least 24 hours. So from 7 today until at least 7 tomorrow. Sometimes you can leave at 9, others leave 4 p.m. the next day. Because patient care is a continual thing. Just because it's 4
I'm glad
p.m.
Matt said no, guys. I'm so glad Matt said no, because Miss Lee.
Literally. So that's also one of the hardest parts. And that's basically why maybe you never saw your sister sometimes. It's because she was working overtime. She was on call and doing the work after hours. So seeing the patients that come in the casualty after hours, that's the on-call doctor.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. That now I understand.
So there's always a doctor.
There's always a doctor. It makes sense because I mean, if anything happens after hours, you know. So I also remember with myself when I got diagnosed with scoliosis. There was a doctor that was there in the evenings because my doctor was literally only there during the day. But even then, like the nurses I would see the nurses more. But the doctors are the ones that are like, okay, you're ready to go home. You're ready to, you know, it's time for your MRI. It's time for your... So, okay, it's quite interesting. Now that I'm actually speaking to you about that.
It makes sense.
Yeah, some of the things that I've experienced, it makes sense. So the next question was about what we need to study. But you mentioned already that you need to do your MBCHB. MBCHB. Do you have a particular like preference on the institutions? Because I know UP is very strong when it comes to their medicine, but also UCT like shining as well. You know, UJ doesn't have a medical degree. So is there a particular preference just for you? And listen, like I always say on this channel, don't go and tell your mother and your father that we said. We are just sharing our opinions.
Please. So from my experience, so now I'm working with a lot of people from different varsities because I'm in internship. So people from UCT, people from SMU. So it's all different. So no varsities do things the same, right? But what I can say is that UP is good. I went to UP and I'm a Pretorian by heart. Tux forever. But I also think it was good. It was very good. But I think part of me, my bias is that I think SMU had a bit of an upper hand in terms of how they teach and how they integrate their students into the
working world.
Yes,
I think it goes beyond medicine actually because one of our cousins as well, she's technically our aunt, but she's our age. She's doing dentistry for SMU, and I see how like hands-on their experience is in comparison to other institutions. So that makes sense. So SMU is Fakomakhato University. Their head office or main campus is in Pretoria as well. So there also, it's a medical university basically. A lot of your medical degrees would come from there as well. Just for context for those who don't know what SMU is. So yeah. Okay, so basically there's no preference, but SMU, you wish you had that more hands-on experience. Okay. No, that's cool. That's interesting. So we've spoken about a lot of the things that I had wanted to say already. One thing about us, we can talk. But you mentioned that you're currently in orthopedics, right? Do you plan to specialize like after your ComServe? Because I do know that a lot of doctors, I think like after their ComServe is done, they will then decide to study further and like go into maybe what's the one with the children? Pediatrics, surgery, whatever the case might be. So what does that look like, and what are your options when it comes to specializing?
Okay, so that was a question that always like, I have to explain. So initially I wanted to actually do cardiothoracic.
I remember
cardiothoracic surgery. But now I'm leaning more towards I'm not gonna be in the linear sort of pathway that everyone goes. I'm leaning more towards going non-clinical. Actually.
So you want to be working with our policies and telling us that medical aid. Okay, got you. I know who to call. I know.
So that's where I want to actually go. I want to go into a more administrative post. So even in hospitals, you have those administrative posts. You have public health specialists. You have also the managerial aspect of running a hospital. So that's where I want to go. So basically I want to do public health. So to get there, I would need to do something in public health. But that's like my end goal. Yes.
Are you going to take a break after your ComServe just to...
I'm not going to take a break. I think I'm still going to... I want to do like small diplomas as I
makes
go.
sense.
And then eventually. So I'm going to probably do anesthesiology. So while I wait to get my qualifications for public health.
Okay, that's cool. I love that you mentioned, small diplomas and stuff, because the audience knows on this channel we are always growing, we're always upskilling ourselves, we're always, getting short courses done, certifications done, and so forth. So I really like that you brought that in, because I think a lot of people think that like in medicine there's a ceiling to learning, right? Where you've done all the steps, you hear, and then that's about it, right? But the world is ever changing, technology is ever changing, so how you guys do your job is changing as well, and all of that. And the fact that you're looking at doing, additional qualifications and all of that is a good thing as well. So that's interesting. Anesthesiology. Guys, I'm learning.
We
put
you to sleep when you go to theater.
Yeah, we've seen the memes on... Yeah, we've seen the memes.
The reels on
We've seen the reels on Instagram. So she's the babe. She's the babe for that, okay? Okay, no, that's cool. I think... Let me see. We've spoken about quite a lot of these. Don't mind me, guys. I'm looking down at my notes. I gave her an exam to study for, basically. So I'm just looking at my notes. And you mentioned that you're working in a public hospital. How does that then, look different to someone working in a private hospital? you find a lot of students doing their internships in private hospitals, your net cares and your whatever?
So no, in medicine, you do your internship in a public hospital.
Okay.
Because in a public hospital, so the point of internship is training, right?
Yeah.
So you need specialists to train you. So you have already specialists usually that are already affiliated with the university who can train you. And
Okay.
basically, that's the point of internship, to have that training. And
Okay.
you get the core training actually in a public hospital as compared to a private hospital, because the things that we learned undergrad, the medications and everything, mostly they are used in public, whereas in private sometimes they do things a little bit differently.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and that's not necessarily somewhere that you consider, because you mentioned that you're taking the public route.
Yes, so I'm not really considering private as yet.
Okay.
But things may change. You
never know.
I don't know what God has in store for me. Wherever God says I must go, I'll go. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's good. That's good. That's interesting. That's very interesting. And the reason I asked, or I put this particular question that I'm about to ask you now on here, is because there's two people in particular that I graduated or finished matric with, right? And they didn't necessarily have the best marks to get into medicine straight, right? So their plan was to do something like biomedical science and then like bridge into whatever. So I just wanted to find out, like, can someone do the work or even just touch the surface of the work that you guys do without a medical degree? Even if it was, the biomedical science route, and then they, did a bridging or something, and then, they're able to work with you guys.
Okay, so we do have people who actually do touch on the surface, actually do work as we do it. We have clinical associates. They study BCMP. It's a course, it's a 3-year course, but you do almost work as a doctor as well. You see patients yourself, you diagnose, you prescribe. Sometimes you just need a co-signing of a doctor, depending on the schedule medicine it is. So that's one option. If you don't qualify for medicine, you can do that degree BCMP. Otherwise, if you don't qualify but your marks are still good enough to get into the sciences, different universities offer like different ways of bridging in. So when I speak for UP, actually how I did it, it's actually how I got into medicine. Is I started with so you do a general sciences sort of degree. So it's called, it's biological sciences. Actually, that's what we do. You go into biological sciences, then you do that for 6 months, but it's very competitive. So you have
because
a class
everyone
of
is trying to get into medicine.
Everyone is trying to get into medicine. You have a class of like 400 to 500 people, but in my year they only took 55.
Hectic.
So imagine 400, 500 people trying to get in, and then they're only taking 55 or 50.
What a stress.
So you do that. You make sure you have the best marks, and then that's how you can bridge in. WITS also has a similar thing, but WITS, at WITS you do a 3-year degree. You finish a 3-year degree. It can be in anything, but it's better if you do it in BSc something, maybe physiology or something, that can give you the upper hand for when you write that exam to bridge in. Then you at least have an upper hand as to the questions that they're going to ask, physiology, anatomy, and all of that. So yes.
Okay, no, that's interesting. Because the two individuals in particular say that they literally bridge the gap between a doctor and a nurse.
Yes.
That's
a clinical associate.
A clinical associate. Okay, that's cool. That's interesting. And how does that job market look? Do you have any insight into that? Because it seems rough.
It is rough. I think because they do almost the same work as a doctor does. I don't think, though, the salary reflects that. I think that's also that's the one harsh reality of it. I think the other harsh reality is that there isn't a big market for them, so it's hard to find employment for them, and it gets frustrating at times that you don't find employment when you did study something, a good degree. Well, as many people might have experienced, it's difficult to get a job. So I think for them, it's the same thing,
and that's how they end up becoming locum doctors and all of that stuff. Okay, no, that makes sense. Then that sheds a lot of light, because I was quite curious from my end, because these are people in like close proximity to me, and I'm just like, okay, so how are you surviving? Okay, so that makes sense. I think during the COVID times, a lot of them had stuff to do because we needed, a lot of, medical practitioners or whatever. But yeah, I can see that, as people get back into normal life, it's quite quiet for them. So it's difficult, I think.
Yes, even locoming sometimes it's difficult.
It's not stable, right?
To explain locoming to the audience is locoming is basically working. So let's say a GP has a practice. And then today they can't come in, maybe they're sick or something, then they need to find someone to fill in for them. Then they ask someone to come in and fill for them. It can be a clinical associate, it can be another doctor as well. So that's a locum job. And then so yeah, sometimes it's difficult actually to find locums, because especially in private, I think some of them, they prefer people who are already doctors.
Yes.
Because it's all about client care and how the client feels in private, especially. So the client won't feel safe, basically. Yeah. Sometimes they're scared that clients won't feel safe with the clinical associates, or so it has a lot of nuances, and I think it's unfair.
I think so too. Yeah. Do they ever get like that title in front of their name?
Doctor.
Yeah, because they didn't study that or whatever.
No, they don't get it because they didn't study it. So they are CA, so they have a CA at the end of their name.
Don't confuse that with chartered accountant, please, because now I'm going to be asked questions about that I thought, because part of the career series there's also chartered accountant coming. So please don't confuse the two. There's clinical associate, there's chartered accountant. Okay. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, that you have always wanted to be a doctor. So I wanted to find out, like, what are those benefits for you? What wakes you up in the morning when it comes to the career field that you chose?
I would say the first and biggest thing is the fulfillment that comes with it. I mean, our health system has its own shortfalls and shortcomings, but the fulfillment of seeing at least one patient with a smile on their face, or discharging a patient who has now healed from whatever disease they were having before, that even the appreciation from them, oh doctor, you made my life so much better, my quality of life has improved ever since, that fulfillment, the fact that I'm making a difference in someone else's life, like someone who doesn't even know me, that fulfillment for me is one of the biggest benefits that you can get.
Because some people go into it for the money, or they say they go into it for the money, and I'm just like,
guys.
Is it rough, guys? Is it rough? Well, from what I've seen on the Insta-greasies,
you don't let the cars fool you, guys. Those cars for working studying for 6 years is difficult.
You have to actually thank yourself.
I think that's the biggest thing. People thank themselves, and it's a common misconception actually that we make a lot of money. We really don't earn a lot like that for the type of work that we do and the hours we spend at work.
It's not worth it.
The salary doesn't really reflect it, but the point is it's fulfilling, and you're changing someone's life, and at the end of it, that is enough.
I think I say that a lot as well for myself as I navigate my career and trying to figure out, where I actually want to find my home. As I mentioned, before we started recording, that I was in consulting, and then now I'm in banking, and I'm at a point where what I'm looking for, and I think I'm actually getting quite close to it in the job that I'm at, is that excitement to wake up in the morning saying I'm going to bring value, that excitement knowing that the work that I'm doing today, you will be able to see the tangible outputs of it later, and for me, that's what excites me. Whereas if you're gonna go and just work and you're forever busy, but you don't even see somebody walking out of that hospital fulfilled, or you don't even see someone getting better, but you are forever at 120 kilometers an hour, then it becomes exhausting. And I think that's where a lot of people lose passion, where they go for a career because it will give you money, but it's not necessarily something that fulfills them, and then they find themselves in a midlife crisis at 40, and they're like, I want to change my entire career because
I also think though it's a point of focus. If you always, because and as much as I'm saying that it's fulfilling to see a patient walk out healed and hear the appreciation from the patient, there are also so many patients, especially in the public setting, who are like, no, you guys are not doing the right things. They don't understand the shortcomings of the system itself. There's nothing that we can do to change it, right? Yes, but I think the point of focus should be more on, I know I'm making a difference in this person's life, even if they don't see it now. I think one day they will see it, that I'm actually making a difference, and one day they will have a better quality of life. The focus, if you change your focus, sometimes you will find more fulfillment, because nothing is ever roses and and butterflies. Everything has its own shortcomings, but if you choose to focus on the good that you're doing,
then you'll
and also patients are interesting. You have so many different interesting conversations, so you meet different people and different aspects of their lives. Like, it's very nice.
Okay.
So
no, that's cool. That's interesting. I think I think that point of fulfillment. Actually, I was in a workshop yesterday at work, and we were talking about what we define success as, and that topic of fulfillment came up, that meaningful work, where you want to see that value, so it's good. And I think also from a diversity point of view, the element that you just mentioned now about, learning about different people, their different backgrounds and so forth. I mean, we grew up in a family where I wouldn't say like we're rich, but we're well off, like we're okay. We've never stressed at night that there's no food, on the table, and then you come to Joburg, or you start working at the hospital and it's like, whoa, there's more to life than what we were exposed to. So that's pretty awesome. I think different walks of life also teach you how to be empathetic to other people as well, which is, I think, very important as a doctor. I'm not in the field, but I think I also adopt that in my life as well, and in my career. So that's interesting to know.
Yes, so you need to always be empathetic. So you also understand that it's not that simple. So a painful leg to you can mean nothing, whereas for me it literally is ruining my entire life, because I take walks every day, and it's frustrating for me. So it's that point of reaching sort of that understanding, reaching them at their point of need.
No, you actually just struck a nerve, because for those who don't know, I was diagnosed with scoliosis 4 years ago. I mean, apparently I've had it for longer than that, but the doctors found it 4 years ago. And then I look at someone who's complaining about a back pain, and I'm like, dude, dude, do you understand the struggle? So it's really good that there's that level of balance, that you're on your feet all day, your back is probably aching as well, but then there's certain ways that you'll say something so that it doesn't make me feel like my pain is less than. Okay, no, that's cool, that's interesting. And we spoke about empathy. Another question that I wanted to pose to you was around the different kind of traits that you think someone would thrive in or thrive with as a doctor, because I mean, you can be good at maths, you can be good at science, you can be empathetic, you can be good with people, but there's so much more to that. And I just wanted to know from your perspective what that is.
Okay, so the first, I think the biggest personality trait is communication, because in as much as we're doctors, which is a common misconception that we know everything and we treat everything, you have to, it's always a multidisciplinary approach to a patient. So you have nursing care, you have a doctor care. Sometimes you have to go for x-rays. That's me speaking to the radiographer and the radiologist. Sometimes you need physiotherapy, and that's me speaking to the physiotherapist, or me speaking to the speech therapist. So communication is even communicating with your patient, which is the most important thing. Communication, once you reach that balance of knowing how to communicate, it makes your job so much easier, because that's a big thing, because you need to speak to other doctors as well in a way that they understand you. So I would say communication is one of the biggest things that you need to master or can learn to master during your job as a doctor. Like I said, empathy as well. Empathy is very important, but I think it also goes hand in hand with the communication itself, because you can have empathy, but if you can't communicate it, then it's tricky. Yes. And then what else? Oh, I thought about this just now. Just slipped my mind.
No worries.
So I said communication. Oh, I forgot. I wrote it down.
Open your notes, girl. Open your notes. Open your notes. As you can see, I can't thrive without my notes. Can't thrive without my notes.
Yes. So communication and being a team player, because like I said,
it's
a multidisciplinary approach.
Okay.
So yes, and then discipline, being disciplined and being confident in what you know, because it's so easy. When you don't have discipline, you have access to so many things as a doctor. If you don't have discipline, it can easily derail you. And we have a lot of doctors who struggle with addiction of many different things. So,
and because you have access to that medication, you have access to that.
Yes. If you don't have discipline, or if you don't have something bigger than you grounding you, then it's easy to literally just go off road, right? And there's a big responsibility with being a doctor. It's a huge responsibility, and that requires discipline all the time, right? And confidence. So sometimes if you're working in a smaller hospital, you need to be able to present to someone in a tertiary hospital to say, I need to refer this patient to you because we don't have X, Y, and Z resources. You do. Can you please take the patient? So you need to also be confident, be able to present your case, and know that when I'm saying this from I've also studied the same degree as you. I also have 6 years of knowledge that I have imparted and studied in myself. So that confidence is also key, because with confidence, then it's not so easy to be like, a walkover or anything like that. It's very important.
No, that's cool. That's interesting. I think when it comes to communication and being able to articulate yourself well, that goes to a lot of careers. I think I'm planning on doing a especially for an introvert like myself, basically how to speak, because it's difficult. And some people see me on this channel thinking that I'm like the most outspoken person. You can ask her. I was the kid that read a book at the back of a bus 24/7. Like, that was me. I didn't speak to anyone, and you have to actually learn how to speak. And it goes just beyond even medicine, that we need to be able to articulate ourselves, put those presentations together, be able to put a case on the table, and like you said, with confidence.
Yes, with confidence.
Yeah, with confidence. Okay. This is a very sticky one.
Okay.
Next one I'm about to ask you.
Okay.
It's a very sticky one, but I know people want to know. We mentioned that the work to salary ratio is not the best. But what does an entry level salary look like for someone who is perhaps starting their internship, going into ComServe? I'm assuming ComServe is like almost nothing, because it's community service, almost nothing in your bank account. I assume, but you will teach us. But how does that look like as someone fresh out of school?
So fresh out of school, please don't listen to the minister, guys. We don't get 1.2 million. We don't not even half of 1.2 million, please. We don't even get half of that. Okay. But
you can just give a range. You don't have to.
Our basic salary per annum is around about 500.
Okay.
It's around about there. So it's not great, but it's something to be grateful for, because there are a lot of people who are unemployed, right?
Agreed.
And
a lot of doctors
who are
unemployed.
A lot of doctors as well who are unemployed. So that is something, and makes a big difference in people's lives as well.
No, that's cool. That's good to know.
Yes.
Speaking about the unemployment rates, especially within the medical field, what are your views on that? Because we know we need doctors, right? It's just the state doesn't have the resources to employ that many.
Yes, and so it's this one. Like I sort of mentioned during the video, is that there's so many systemic faults that we can find. The system fails a lot of people, and not just the patients at the end of the day. Because with everything that's happening in our government, like the corruption and everything, that steals from the funds that could have been used to treat patients better.
Yes.
That also steals from the funds that could have employed an extra doctor, so that you don't have to wait a year for your operation, or you don't have to wait a year to get medication, So that is the problem, actually. I don't think... I think it's sad. It's actually very disheartening, because if I had an extra doctor in my team,
would need,
life would be so much better for us, and in turn, patients would get much better treatment, even from me, because I'm less overworked, right? Because being up for 24 hours.
It's a lot. At some point, you cry, you crash.
Yes, you crash. I can tell you, I've cried so many times in the hospital, because I'm so frustrated. Sometimes I'm frustrated that, oh my gosh, I wish I had help.
Yes.
I wish there was someone to help me, but it's sad for me. All I can say, it's sad, and it's one of the most disheartening things about being in the field is the disadvantages to everyone else. That our unemployed doctors, they could have been employed. These people, studied. They were varsities cater for so many people, knowing that at the end they produce so many doctors and they get employed. And as much as we have many unemployed doctors, I wouldn't say that medicine isn't one of the scarce fields, or the fields that need more doctors. So it's actually very disheartening, because it's like a tug of war.
No, because I actually released a recent video about the top 5 in-demand jobs in South Africa, and despite everything that's happening in South Africa, medicine is still on that list.
Yes,
we need doctors.
We need a lot. I think our current doctor to patient ratio in the public setting, I think you have 1 doctor for every 1,000 population in South Africa. So imagine,
guys, so there's 60 million of us.
So imagine how difficult that is.
Crazy.
We do need more doctors. We do need. I might be wrong with my stats, but I think it's around about 1,000.
That's crazy.
Of our total population. So it is very, very disheartening. And my heart goes out to every doctor that is finding themselves unemployed post ComServe. Sometimes they don't get placed for ComServe itself, and you can't go anywhere without having completed that training,
because it's a prerequisite for the HPC, whatever.
It's frustrating, to say the least, but it's at the end of the day, it's the system, and the system is failing us. It's failing us, and we're just watching it crumble. Literally.
That is painful. That is painful. I think I have nothing to say except what you've just said, that your heart goes out to those doctors that find themselves in that situation, because personally, especially after studying for so long, let's not talk a lot about it.
Because at that point in time, people already have costs to pay. People are supporting home, because a lot of our doctors come from not so great backgrounds. A lot of them do come from great backgrounds, but we also have a lot of doctors who still have to go back home and support and do this. So imagine, it's families that are dependent on that salary, and the government just cuts it for corruption. That is very disheartening.
I don't want to say anything, because y'all guys are going to ban my channel. You guys are going to remove this video if I say anything else. So let me be quiet. So before closing out the video, I quickly just want us to recap on basically the route to take to become a doctor. Not just the, traditional route, but also perhaps the route that you took, the one that we're speaking about with the biomedical, science and all of that stuff, just to give people just that overview, so that they know that it's not the end of the world if you don't get straight into the medicine degree. There's still a way. So do you mind just giving us a summary of that? And then we can let the people go for the day, because we learned a lot. I would sit here and ask 5 million questions for the rest of the day, but so can we do that? Okay,
so can I start from high school? There's high school subjects that you will need as well. So when you choose subjects in high school, you will need your maths, your sciences, physical sciences. Life sciences gives you an upper hand, but as long as you have physical sciences and maths, physical sciences, and English. Those are the subjects that you need. It can be first additional or home language. you need those 3 subjects, right? You need a level 6 in maths, I think, and then a level 5 in physics and English.
Please don't play in
right?
school, guys. Please.
With an
Gullible.
APS of at least 35.
Okay.
But that
wasn't
is
too far off.
But that is not
Actually-
enough. That's the problem. Even people who have an APS of like the maximum, I think it's 42. It's still very competitive to get into medicine. So you might find that some people don't go the traditional route, not because they didn't qualify or that their marks weren't good
They
enough.
just didn't get in.
There just wasn't enough space, right? So that's what happens. And then now, because there wasn't enough space, there's another route you can take. But also remember that an NBT is very important. You need to do the maths and the English one, or the quantitative one. Yes, you need to do.
What's an NBT?
In the National Benchmark Test. So you write that in matric.
I think I only did the maths one. Maybe I did the
You
maths
did
in English.
You did the English one, because the English one is the basic one, and then you have
I think
to
I did
add
the maths in
one.
English.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so you need to do both the maths.
Do people
and
still do the
English.
NBT?
I'm not sure if it's still there, but
I haven't heard
in
people
my
speak-
time.
Yeah, back in our day, but I'm like,
in my
I
time.
haven't heard anyone. Oh, I guess we're far from it now because I mean, Ruhudile, but I haven't heard anyone speak about NBT exams. Yeah, we're old. No, we're so old.
So yeah, we have so that's what was needed for me in my time. You know, I'm not gonna say when my 10 years back. I feel old.
And it was actually yes, we are the
But yeah, so then you apply for MBCHB. In VET it's MBBCH, right? So you apply for that. If you don't get in, you can do the biological sciences route, meaning that's the 6 months. When you do biological sciences for 6 months, you need to get really, really good marks, right? And then you bridge into medicine and you continue with medicine. The other route you can do is the GEMP program at VET, where if you don't qualify or you don't get space, you do another degree for 3 years, and then after 3 years you write a benchmark test for them as well, and then you continue with medicine from 4th year onwards.
Not just any degree. Please don't go and apply for a BA or something. Like it needs to be something in the sciences. Please, thanks.
Yes. And then the other route that you can take, it's a year. You can actually do the general sciences. So in UP we had that where people just did a general BSc degree. They started off with that for a year, and then they apply for medicine the following year, and then they usually get in.
And some of those modules overlap.
Yeah, some of them. So you get credited for the first year basically. And
Okay.
No, you get credited for the first 6 months.
Okay.
Yes, because those are the sciences. Then you just continue on with second semester of first year.
Okay. Okay, that's awesome. That's very interesting. And then after you finish your degree, you then do your 2-year internship, and then it's ComServe, and then you can decide what you want to do. You can decide from there. Okay, that's awesome. I learned a whole lot about the medical field with this conversation. So thank you for imparting that knowledge. I think beyond me, I have a community that loves learning, so they will definitely enjoy this as well. And I think a lot of you guys who are coming in at a point where you maybe want to go back to school, or you're in high school trying to figure out what to study, or you're in your first year and you're not necessarily sure if you chose, the right degree, then this video is exactly for you. So thank you so much for imparting that knowledge and that wisdom. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And I just want to say to those who are thinking of coming to medicine, it's never too late and it's never too early either. Medicine is a continual learning experience. So wherever you jump in, you will still learn, because there's so much to learn. We can never cover the whole medical book and say, okay, we're done learning, because everything changes, and so it's never too late. So always come on, guys, we need more doctors. Just pray for the system.
Pray for the system, to improve. But one thing about the learning part is that they always have books, guys. Even when I go to my GP, he will still open the book and say, this is what you need. So you will forever learn. You'll forever need to revise. You can't know that medicine book is this thick, guys. You'll never know it from front to end. So also with the changes in technology, you'll continue have to learning, because some things are being, like I mentioned earlier, being done differently. So as someone who is considering medicine, definitely use this knowledge and use this as a foundation for yourself, and ask questions in the comment section. If I don't have the answers, I will you know, and then we will give you guys the answers to the best of our abilities, so that we can proper empower you guys to go and run this race of life. So with that, once again, thank you so much for coming. Thank you to you guys for watching until this far. If you've watched until this far and you guys haven't subscribed, I'm side-eyeing you because, I mean, clearly we were speaking about interesting things.
Bombastic side eye.
You know, I'm just putting it out there. We are on the road to 5,000 subscribers, so please guys, let's continue growing the family. So with that, let's comment, like, subscribe, share, all of that jazz. You know what to do. If you're in the family, you know what to do. With so much love and so much light from me to you, have an incredible rest of the day. Stay safe and God bless. Bye guys.